In our traditional African wrestling, you don't hit. It's just for you to try and look for ways to make the person's back touch the ground. And that's why Okonkwo was boasting in things for like say, I am the cat, Willie the cat, my back never touches the ground. So if that one is clear, we can move on to the other one, which is UFC. UFC is a worse form of boxing. That's why they say that the worst part of hell is reserved for the good man who kept quiet in the face of moral injustice. You see, the scoring is what you look at. The scoring points in Western wrestling, you must carry and lift so high. In fact, they call it body slam. In African traditional wrestling, you don't have to lift high. All that is most important, if you are not schooled on the rules, just take a time and watch Okonkwo and things fall apart. All you need is just for the opponent's back
to touch the ground.
You don't have to
slam it
on the ground. In our Ijakadi, in our traditional African wrestling, no punches. Punches are not allowed. So you don't do grievous bodily harm, which the law frowns at. So you can see that there's a meeting point between the way they couched their law, and by the time it came here, we already were doing it. You don't, in our traditional African wrestling, you don't hit. It's just for you to try and look for ways to make the person's back touch the ground. And that's why Okonkwo was boasting in things for like say, I am the cat, Willie the cat, my back never touches the ground. So if that one is clear, we can move on to the other one, which is UFC. UFC is a worse form of boxing. Why? Because that's why they say that the worst part of hell is reserved for the good man who kept quiet in the face of moral injustice. I want you to know, I've had minds of our viewers to the fact that there is a statutory case, in England, 1882 case, the state against Coney. In that case, what the judgment upheld was that some people are saying that, but you have the consent of the fighters to fight. See, consent notwithstanding, it's wrong. Even if the two of you decide to fight, to consented to fight, what we are saying from the courts here is that it runs against the test of what is called public policy. So you can't consent to fight. If you don't care about your emotions, how about the viewing public? How about those who are watching?
People are applauding them. We still have people that are watching that are applauding them.
That's why we are saying that these are the vestiges of the old Stone Age. We are in a new era. That's what we boast of ourselves, not so. We are modern. In fact, they call us modern man. What is modern in the savagery we are talking about? What is modern in the brutality we are saying? Meanwhile, you come back to our section 34 of our law, Constitution, the ground norm, says, and I quote, every person is entitled to the right of the dignity of the human person. What is the dignity in beating up a fellow man, blue black? What dignity lies in that? And interestingly, since I began this campaign, of course, I'm working in company with in conjunction with some other young men and women. I have seen some women too who say, I would like boxing. And the question is, if your husband were to beat you up this way, are you sure that there will be no affirmative actions? Are you sure? Do you get? So these are some of the questions that throb my heart about people.
Okay, so you were talking about some of the reasons why you are pushing for the abolition. You talked about the focus now is boxing and UFC. You are not actually talking about the WWE. Okay, so
let me explain furthermore on that.
Oh, okay.
There is always a caveat on TV from the promoters of wrestling. They say, do not try this at home. Yes. So they know that it's for purely entertainment reasons.
But it's also violence.
No. They've warned you. They've already made you know.
That is entertainment.
There is a formula that if this is entertainment. So that's why they are saying, we know what we have put up here. You have not put up the same structures at home. Therefore, don't try this at home. I remember growing up, I used to do that a lot with my younger brothers and sisters. I said, let me give you body slam, elbow smash, all of it. But then we're adults now, we're laughing, looking back. But that's, at that age, that's what we could afford to do. Do you understand? There's a difference. In boxing, it is occasioned by what we call actual grievous bodily harm. There's no entertainment about it. Tyson's punches are not entertaining at all. There are not what's entertainment value in receiving a punch from someone like Tyson or from a boxer.
Yeah. Okay.
And interestingly, we have seen births. Just this year, a Nigerian died in Ghana.
Okay.
Yes.
Why fighting? Why honor? And then I'm trying to emphasize on there's a difference between fighting and boxing.
Okay.
Fighting might include boxing. Boxing does not include fighting. Because they will tell you how they're trying to make themselves professionals who fight outside. But then we are talking about punches. Its effect on the body.
Exactly.
What it is creating, it is savagery. It is not good.
So why are you calling for the abolition?
These are the things I've highlighted. We said that, look, the grievous bodily statutorily have given you a case. That even from the West, where these things came, there was a time Nigerians need to know this. There was a time the sport, so to say, I don't agree it is sport.
Okay.
There was a time the sport, quote and unquote, so to say, was outlawed. It was banned. But you know, human beings have a way of circumventing the law. Okay. And that was how boxing came about and spread into this part of the world. But I need to advert the minds of the viewers to the fact, boxing is not yet even 100 years old in Nigeria. But we know the first official boxing bout, as I found out from research, was in as far back as 1681 in England. How did it even happen? In law, there's what we call legal interpretation. All right? You can interpret laws using so many methods. Okay, so we're talking about the mischief rule now, where you look at the history behind a particular statute. The history is that it was just to satisfy the ego of a certain king.
Yeah.
The Earl of Albemarle, who said, okay, yeah, I'm getting excited today. Okay, my butcher, my butler, okay, come and entertain me with a fight. And then after some time, it was reported that in the thick of the period of the transatlantic slavery, black slaves were
made to same
fight,
thing.
you know, and then evolved from there was the concept of the gladiators.
Yeah.
So if you look at the history of what you are celebrating now that you think is giving food, on the argument of giving food, putting food on the table, for how many? Is it all of humanity that are into boxing? Don't forget I have stretched out the difference between fighting and boxing. All of us fight. And we are saying that even at that, the religions we all subscribe to frown at it. The law frowns at it. There is a punishment for fighting. If you disturb public peace via fighting, you should be punished for it.
Okay. I know for example, down here in Africa, we can collectively say it has not gotten to the point where it is over 100 years. We can collectively say that. But it has become $1 billion industry, right? Money is there. And calling for it to be outrightly banned would, of course, raise a lot of doubt, right?
It's all right.
But first, how do you now link that to morals or, youth's aggressiveness? Because you highlighted it before in the conversation. Does having knowledge of boxing, despite the fact that the coaches will always tell you, oh, keep it to this sport, don't go and do it outside. But how does it now lead to youth aggression or things like immorality?
In the over 5 or 7 years of my campaign against boxing and the UFC, I have not said it leads to youth aggression. No, never. On the contrary, there are certain virtues that are developed from constant practice as an athlete. Okay. Not necessarily for boxing.
Training, yes.
As an athlete. We are now saying that when you talk about martial arts, which centers on self-defense, even the law can never make you guilty on the basis of self-defense. So yes, you can learn,
martial arts,
learn martial arts for self-defense.
For self-defense.
No, yes, the law does not frown at that. Okay. If you do anything within reasonable bounds, proportionate law, that is proportionate to whatever thing was used against you.
To submit the other person, your opponent,
it's
or an attacker.
It's okay. Or an assailant.
An assailant, yeah.
It's all right for you. So I did it in self-defense. It's accepted anywhere in the law, in the law, anywhere in the world too. But we are saying that if your argument keeps focusing on the fact that it brings money, it's a money spinner, you have lost focus of what we are talking about. Because that's why I said slavery was the biggest thing. And governments were into it. The UK, at the height of their greatness, were called the Great Britain. You think it was for fun? Because they were the real merchants.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is that, but it ended at a point. So if you are looking at the money it is spinning, you will not put an end to the evils in it.
So the issue is abolishing it as a sport. But if you're learning boxing,
if you are yes,
and UFC for self-defense,
for self-defense purposes, it's all right.
So, but as a sport, you want it to end.
And then you say it is entertainment. What's the entertainment value in those things?
Oh, okay.
No.
How do you feel, or how do you think the UN or these other agencies that you've written to can, help to quell this as a sport?
Particularly for the United Nations, it will amount to lip service. If the UN, from its Olympian heights, is talking peace to nations, and you are not looking at smaller dimensions of human establishments that will actually complement the peace that you want. I'll give you an example. You see, to lead a course like this, you know that I'm not just coming out to talk for talking's sake. I have my researches at the
tip of your finger. Yeah.
I'm sure you watched Rocky.
Yes.
Rocky.
All four, don't worry. All four.
Rocky. All four. Rocky 1 to 4. There was a point in that movie, the issue of the Cold War between the US and the USSR came up in something as light as in a movie. But then they are talking about the tendencies of the advanced nations of the world at that time. Because Rocky, as an American, was made to face Dolph Lundgren.
Yes.
I can't remember his name.
Yeah,
but he looked like a Russian. And they had to have the movie in such a way that the American defeated the Russian.
Yes.
So who is fooling who? You need to be as knowledgeable as what you are talking about. I wouldn't have just started coming out to advocate that boxing be abolished, the UFC be abolished, if I do not, or I have not entered into comfortable realms of research. So I am saying, for instance, again, I want the listeners to hear me. That case, the state and CONI, established a classical conditioning that many people are arguing about today. That after all, it was with their consent. The case, the judgment said, consent notwithstanding. Boxing, pugilism, fist fighting, runs against the spirit of public policy.
Okay. So I want to ask, you are only seeing boxing and UFC from the violent angle. That's why you are
basically from the moral.
From the moral.
Immoral. And
okay.
then onto the violent
angle. Violent angle. So don't you see any other aspect of boxing and UFC that portrays positivity?
I just mentioned to you that the martial arts aspect of it is good only for the purpose of self-defense.
Okay.
You shouldn't come out and start making people beat themselves up.
Critics argue.
It's wrong.
Some persons argue that boxing and the UFC, they help in self-discipline. They help in fitness. They help in so many other areas. Do you people see, no, not you people now, do you as Barrister Tosin?
That's right.
Do you see boxing from that angle as well?
Those are the angles we are saying deplore the gifts of sports generally.
Okay, so if you abolish it, are you not taking away those?
No, you are not.
Okay.
I already said that. Deplore those skills for purposes of self-defense. Even you. Do you know that there are some countries, martial arts is what they use to occupy their young ones for the period of what we do here for NYSC. There are some countries, it's military training, like Israel. It's military training. Okay, so it depends on the civilization of the handlers of your nations. So for instance, I'll route that, okay, we subject our young ones, boys and girls, men and women, to 6 months of drilling for martial arts. It's good for self-defense. It's good. So those aspects of it, but keep it at that level. Once you move from asking people, do you know how promoters used to do it? Even Ali, the legendary Ali, talked about all these things. So who else could talk about the harm in boxing, if not?
Okay.
Muhammad Ali. And even Tyson talked about the negative aspect of the sport that gave him fame. Do you understand where I'm coming from? People are bound to speak in that pattern. Yes, I understand. You see, when you are calling for a mega change, you won't expect that it will be given to you on a platter of gold. If we continue to have these discussions, I can boast to you without sounding arrogant that in less than 30 minutes from now, even after this is for you, we will convert you.
No, I have always been on the side of review. I am not still in total support of abolishing or letting it stay at all. I love what you said now. You just said something that the likes of Tyson are also complaining or advocating that some of these things should be. There
are interviews of Tyson and Ali on YouTube.
Now, if we have people like that, people who are into boxing, they are complaining, yet they still go back. Tyson is still fighting, right?
Well, not professionally.
Not professionally, but sometimes he still comes to the ring to come and fight. Right?
It's entertainment right now. But
entertainment
but there's still people who still fight because, I mean, of course, AJ still fought Jake Paul.
Of course.
Right? Even though I remember talking to you about it, that there was a punch that he gave Jake Paul, who is not a professional boxer, anyway,
that shifted his jaw.
And he had to go to hospital.
Look, but that's nothing compared to people. We are saying that people are dying. And you see, even before the death of people, can you just imagine that let's assume that you have 2 boys at home. If boxing is that beautiful, then regularly subject them to be beating themselves up, and you be the referee. Can you imagine the emotional pain some people will go through?
Yes. So my question is, if we have those people that were once there and they are lending their voice. Technically, not fully, because
in Ali's case,
my own is, if it is fully, they should be the one that affronted us.
No, but unfortunately, they are not fronting.
Exactly.
You can't stop them. No, listen.
Should we not say that it's kind of a lip service?
No. You can't. Please hear me out. You cannot stop a boxer, whether a current one or a former one, from making comments. In journalism, don't forget that I used to be a journalist before.
Yes.
In journalism, we say comments are free, but facts are sacred. I am talking from the point of view of facts. If they are so sure, let them convoke a meeting between us and they, at a level as high as that of the United Nations. All we need to be is to keep speaking about the ills in what we are saying. I'm not expecting it to be on a platter of gold now. No. You expect stiffer. You have not even given me stiff opposition. I mean, opposition stiff enough. I expect stiffer opposition. I expect threats at a point. Because I have said it to all who care to listen, that this abolition cause for me, as far as I'm concerned, is worth living and dying for.
Okay, this is the top of the hour. We'll go on a very, very quick break. When we come back, perhaps we would have put forward tougher arguments. Because it looks like it didn't look like Barrister is saying, no, you know what? No. I need you guys to give me stiffer arguments why my own argument should not hold water. No problem. She is looking like your very strong opponent here, or maybe. But I want you to leapfrog from this. Despite the fact that there are existing laws that point to the fact that these sports should not happen, they still do. Who has been bypassing it, or how have they been bypassing?
The promoters, of course.
How have they been pulling it off?
You see, that's why we always say to every leadership, at the organization of leadership, you must learn to put your feet down, firmly on the ground. That this is what we want. When that law, judgment was delivered in 1882, that judgment on the state and the
Kony. Okay.
Yeah. I understood from research that boxing promoters were still stealing to organize fights, prize fighting, because they put the money to bring the people to disrespect the law.
Okay.
The prize fighting was so-called because you are fighting for a prize. We are giving you $10. And then the other guy was like, I don't have that amount of money. So money was used as an incentive to make them break the law. And they were hounding them. That was why, to start with, many people don't even know that the mecca of boxing used to be the UK and not the US. When that judgment was delivered, most of those promoters felt that, okay, it's no longer business as usual. Let's go to the other side of the Atlantic. That was when they started developing the interest in the United States, which was at that time was just evolving, and so still accommodated so different kinds of shades of characters. And so till today, you have now the US as the mecca of boxing. But we are saying that we want to reverse the trend, and it is not impossible to achieve. And we have a very good example. I keep saying it to everybody who cares to listen. The slavery issue, which lasted over 500 years, it came to an end. Boxing never reached 500.
Okay, so if it happens, this campaign becomes successful, and boxing, UFC, they
disappear as a sport.
Yes,
all emphasis on that.
They are abolished as a sport. What other sport can serve as an alternative that is there, that will not send, that will not deny them competition, that will not deny them excellence, that will not deny them skill?
Beautiful. Now, one thing you can't take away from fact is that it's always there. Have you seen those guys who do karate or karate?
Karate, yeah.
And kung fu.
Yeah.
You know, it came from the oriental part of the...
Yes, the monks, mostly the monks, yes.
And you see the respect, the honor they put into it. Okay? I am making a case as an alternative for our own ijakadi, our own traditional means of fighting. We should begin to export it and teach all the other parts of the world, because it is not necessarily violent. We don't use punches, so you don't get bloodied.
Yeah, but at the Olympic level, we have something similar.
Why can't we push African? In fact, the only thing. The funny thing is that the narrative coming from the West keeps defining us. It should not be so. Some of us are saying no more. Africa. If, as at 1976, when late Murtala Mohammed said that Africa has come of age, and some people felt we haven't, not in this era. Now we have indeed come of age. They even call that wrestling Greco-Roman to tell you the origin of where it came from. Why don't we have African traditional wrestling too? Olympics is an all-comer.
Yes. Yes.
And the joy, according to what they taught us, is that you don't have to win. The joy is in the participation. Let Africans' philosophy also
creep into
the universal narrative. They call it Greco-Roman to tell you where it came from.
Okay.
So there's nothing stopping them from calling our own wrestling too Afro wrestling technique.
Okay.
Well, which is not violent. That's the hallmark. It's not violent. Nobody gets bloodied. Just do everything subtle and what have you to get the other guys back to touch the ground. That's all.
Okay, I love the fact that you're talking about our African wrestling right now.
Yes.
The other people have been telling our own stories, and we've not told our own stories.
We've not told us.
Now, who will push it? Because even our own people are moving to the West.
Platforms like this.
So who will push the African system?
Platforms like SOUQ.
Like we have started already.
The narrative will continue to go on. Every African should, in a way, keep behind this. It's going to unlock all the stereotypes, the negative biases. I was in the US a few years back, and do you believe it that a girl like 16 or 17-year-old walked up to me and said, "Do you know what? I have a crush on you." And I said, "Oh, well, you barely know me. You barely know me. I don't even know your name." She said, "Yes, there's this narrative about Africans, and you just did something that is un-African." I said, "And what's that?" He said, "When that bus came, you didn't rush." I said, "Yes, they don't rush." I lied in quote. They don't rush. Where it comes from? And she was like, "I'm serious, a real life encounter." And she said, "But my fear is, I heard you guys have close to 700 wives. That's what they're saying about us."
Yeah.
But some of us should now dust our shirts and come out clean and let them realize that we are as modern
as they
are.
You are. All the bias must stop. They think we have to be at the receiving end all the time. No, the narrative should change.
I love the
we can as well redefine the narratives.
Yeah. I love the fact that you're not just calling for the end of one, you're even providing an alternative that can serve the same thing.
The same purpose.
So even someone else can start up this campaign to say, okay, you know what? We're going to be pushing more African sports.
At the Olympics.
At the Olympics.
Yes.
While you're calling for this to end, we are providing an alternative. So nobody's going to say, okay, so what do we do in terms of money?
It's about time that we are heard. That's what I'm saying.
So you're also campaigning for a shift in mindset.
Mindset.
As young people now,
there are many
of them who are aspiring to be boxers.
Yeah.
It will be early enough to catch them and say, you know what, perhaps shift this talent that you have.
I met a 17-year-old last week, and he told me he wants to be a boxer. I said, no, you will not be a boxer. That side of the divide has lost you. Come here. You will be something better. Because I said I watched Ali's interviews on TV, where Ali was saying that, no, none of my children, even though one of
Laila became a boxer. Yes.
That was not
she retired early?
And that was not the father's wish. He said it, I don't want any of my offsprings to go into it. No, it's vicious. It's brutal. It shows the other side of man.
Yeah.
And so if we are saying that we are in the modern era, for God's sake, everything modernity should be that typifies our existence.
So if calls come more from people who had done this sport before, not necessarily because they didn't make money or they got hurt in the business. If perhaps more of them come and join the cause, do you think that it's going to get louder or farther reach?
Yes, of course, it will go a long way. It will go a very, very long way. People like, I think Obisi Anwapa is still alive. You see,
no, that
one wants to continue fighting. Don't mind that, our uncle. Don't mind that, our uncle. But we can always talk to him. We can always talk. There's no one that convinces the 70-year-old man. There's no one that cannot be bought over.
At 70,
there's no
over 70 by the way.
There's no one that cannot change and start afresh. The owner of KFC, look, we borrowed knowledge from different realms. The owner of KFC started that business well into his 78th or 79th year. And the business is still thriving. All right? So there's no age that a man cannot achieve or begin a new ministry. Moses, according to the Bible, began his deliverance ministry at the age of 80. All right? So that's why I've also said severally that the cause for the abolition of boxing and the UFC, this one that I have started,
okay, so what societal benefits or societal long-term benefits or peace do you see if boxing and UFC are abolished?
Oh, well, the mindset changes first and foremost. The tendency to be violent and to celebrate beating up one another will ebb. That humane nature that we've got, that's what people like us at Fable are trying to stimulate.
Okay.
That kind nature that tilts towards lifting up another instead of setting down, beating. Do you know bullies? Have your children experienced bullying at school before? Have you personally experienced bullying? I experienced bullying briefly in the primary school. There was this guy who was always threatening to beat me up because I would refuse to share my bread and butter. But one day, I had to just rescue myself. Do you know what it feels to exist at the mercy of someone else physically? That if you don't do this, I'll subject you to serious beating and torture. No. It's not fit for human beings. That's why Section 34 and 35 of our Constitution talks about, directly and indirectly, about these kinds of freedom. Right to the dignity of the human person. It's not dignifying for you to exist at the mercy of somebody else, to live in fear that I could be beaten up. Or to live with the shame that he went to a boxing, a duel, and then he was beaten up, eyes bloodied, nose bloodied, all those things. No. And morally, we are making a case for moral, rearmament. Michael Jackson sang Heal the World. These are the kinds of things that man was waiting for before he died. It's not just, you see, that's why I said that you should look at combination of realms of knowledge across all the kinds of discipline. I brought samples from music, pop industry. When Jackson was saying heal the world, make it a better place. But for some people to now say the cornerstone of their argument against abolishing boxing is because it comes with so much of money. The kind of money that is in boxing now can't match the kind of money that slavery generated for the advanced nations of the world. Quote me. But it ended. So why boxing no go ahead?
That's beautiful. Okay, so now for what's the acronym is?
FABU, Forum for the Abolition of Boxing, and the UFC.
FABU. Now looking at FABU, how far do you think they can go with this if it turns out that the UN and the rest of the world do not want to pay a listening ear?
The beauty of it is that even at the United Nations level and the international politics now, there is so much importance about regionalism. If the UN decides not to listen to us, we can still control the media, the structure, and the what have you for the African Union. We can even start with your immediate government authority here. I'm talking about maybe the local government at the level. Now, okay, at the level of the local government, we want to banish this sport here. At the level of the state, Lagos State, we want to banish this sport.
Yes,
we can do that.
I want to apologize that I'm cutting you here, but this violent sport, do we really have it here in Nigeria?
Boxing,
yes, the boxing, yes.
And
that's what I'm saying. I don't know
as a matter of fact,
in Lagos State or at Slim Balogun in Surulere, I don't know if we do the.
You know what? No.
Without gloves. All the ones I've seen, they normally wear gloves.
You even see them at roadsides now.
Yes.
Boxing.
Yes, you put
without gloves.
No,
without gloves.
Yeah.
You see, what we are saying is that, look, this thing even gives an ugly reminder of how we evolved. You understand now?
Okay.
And we are saying bad memories, put it to rest for life. At the level of the media, for instance, we have this tendency to catch bugs. That's why, in fact, I'm giving it to your organization. This is the first TV's house we are talking about boxing abolition from FABU's perspective.
Okay.
And don't forget, calls for abolition is, without sounding immodest, is coming from Africa for the first time through FABU. Okay. And that's why I'm so excited we're bringing it here. Discussing it for the first time.
On Just Africa, yeah.
On Just Africa. And on SOUQ TV. Wow. No TV station. We've not got any. We've been talking on radio before now.
Okay.
All right, fine. But it's a good place to clap for you guys. You guys are doing a great job.
Thank you.
Honestly, because you are talking about novel ideas. Yeah. Now, we want to write to some media houses. You stop showing, even UFC, don't even show it. Because you showing it means you are also promoting it.
Promoting it, yeah.
The violent nature, UFC is worse off than boxing.
Yeah.
Boxing is still more regulated. But in UFC, not much of regulation. You keep beating someone who has surrendered.
Look, so let me come from this angle, right?
Why human beings like that?
With the existing laws, right? We know there are existing laws that say don't do this.
Yes.
Can I sue a boxing promoter with the law and I win?
It's very possible, but more importantly, there's what we call locus standi. If you are directly affected. But then, on the grounds of, like that judgment, 1882, on the grounds of public policy, of course, you are welcome to go to court. And but they say something in the courts. They say the courts are no Father Christmases. There are no Santa Clauses. So, except people come forward and the law be interpreted. If you don't come forward, it's wrong to try and be urging people to go to court. Let them go on their
revolution. Okay.
And then everybody will have his day in court.
Because I'm wondering how, as recent as you've been on this cause for a long time, right?
Yeah.
I don't know how far it has gotten to in terms of meeting particular people apart from the UN. I mean, like individuals.
Yes.
And then as recent as just couple of days back, the Tosin Joshua fight happened and then it was everywhere. People are still betting on it.
I remember I wrote to even AJ himself via Twitter. I wrote to him.
Okay.
I made him understand that, well, this is nothing personal against you. Unfortunately, it's the sport you chose, and it will come to an end.
I'm trying. I don't know if it's something that this is a means of livelihood for me. First off,
Yeah.
and it continues to fetch me a lot of money, and then you want me to suddenly stop, right? Or at least even take a while to convince me, and then I stop. I feel like you're going to meet a lot of resistance.
We expect it. I told you.
Because it's not just the sport I enjoy. Like, I'm making money out of it.
You can make money elsewhere. For example,
That's all I know.
No, you have to know another thing. Because unfortunately, that thing you are saying, that's all you know, had or has a very shady beginning. That's what we are saying. And so that beginning is what we are routing, that it be abolished. For example, I tell you, those who were the slave masters at that time, do you think they willingly stopped
it because they were making them so much money?
They made so much money. The whole of Europe, I can put it on record now, the whole of Europe was built with the
sweat, blood, sweat, and sweat of
Africans.
Yes.
Via slavery. They liked it. They were enjoying it. Their own children were doing the hard work. Other people's children, we are going to put them there. And they were flogging our people. Haven't you been to the slave route in Badagry? The point of no return. Didn't you see all those things? These things were real. It lasted over 500 years. But today it is history.
Okay, what if, just as you're saying now, the laws are there, but the people, the boxers are telling you, like they say, the voice of the people is the voice of God. I don't know how. I'm not quoting scripture. I said like the popular saying.
Yeah, vox populi, vox Dei.
What if the people say, no, don't abolish it. We want it. We want it to stay.
It's okay.
So what do you do?
It's okay. There's nothing. Do you think we are forcing this thing down on people? No, we are not. As a matter of fact, I am challenging authorities like the United Nations. Let them bring me and the proponents of boxing, the status quo.
Let us argue.
Let them bring
Okay, let's not argue. Let's just converse.
Because you know why I'm saying that. For instance, we always use the slave trade.
That's the best example.
You understand? But right now, as much as slave trade has been abolished many years ago, you now say that Africans, we are not even the one living by ourselves, telling ourselves that we have now modernized the word from slave trade, slavery to jackprism.
Okay.
You understand?
We are voluntarily now going.
We are not voluntarily. They tell you that I don't mind going if it is just for me to go and do dishes there. You understand? That's the mindset of blacks right now.
You know
what if the people right now decide that this boxing, okay, the law says it has been abolished, yet the people says we still want it because of the money.
Okay, now you have brought about 2 or 3 issues together. You see, the case of Africans now doing japa abroad is a different ballgame entirely. In law, the express mention of one thing is to the exclusion of the others. Okay. The first time those Europeans came here, they came and used the element of force and took our people against their will.
Their will, yes. One issue.
Now, if our people now decide, times have changed, that, okay, we will now be the ones entering your place by force, whether you like it or not. You see, it's another thing entirely. Some things are best left for nature to sort out.
Okay.
So leave some things for nature, again, I plead, to sort out. If the people, we will never at Fable force down our agenda on people. Okay. No, we are gentlemen. We are gentlemen, easygoing people, well brought up people.
Yeah.
All right. So if the people say, no, if it was going to be by election, I am even still so confident. Read my lips. Boxing will go.
How can parents, schools, communities, community leaders, how can they help to perhaps not just join your cause, but maybe from their small corners also, preach these things that you're doing?
A typical African family. What we are doing at Fable is an offshoot of the typical
African family.
African family morals. to their children every morning, don't fight, don't be found, don't do things that will bring our name into disrepute, don't use element of force anywhere, jagidi jagon, omo ipanle, we are in Lagos. This is yes. Okay. So all those, the concept of omoluwabi is what we are talking about. You can't be a gentleman, a noble by birth. These things happen over there in the West too. You don't see the nobles.
Be the ones doing the fighting.
You don't do that. You don't do that. So that's the same way this thing strikes us. And that's the same way we are promoting it to people. You can't be of good upbringing and you say you choose to be fighting. I was talking about distinguishing first between fighting and boxing.
Boxing, yes.
One is natural instinct. Even the law frowns at it. Even the society frowns at it. But the one that they say is boxing, they say it's a sport, it's money spinning. Of course, the law frowns at it. So I gave you the case of R. Anconi, a decided case in England as far back as 1882. And how they circumvented it, they know, because they used this, it was this same money. You see, when you fall for a small incentive, you lose the bigger picture. You lose it. And that's why some people will come and stand before us and start arguing. But it's a billion, but we know. We are looking at, permit me to say something in the Yoruba proverb, say, Isale oro, o legbe. At the heart of some of the commercial successes you see every day, there's so much filth. There's so much filth. So much things that they had to do, sacrifices to cut corners.
Yeah. Wow.
I know it's been a wholesome conversation, and we've tried our best to contribute to this conversation and of course this cause. But we know it does not end here.
It wouldn't.
We will bring you from time to time, anytime you feel the need to also put this again.
I target a name, Destination Abolition.
Okay.
That's where we are going. They must abolish boxing and the UFC.
Well, I mean, anytime doors are always open and welcoming you to have these brainstorming conversations. And of course, I do hope that people get to see the values that you're trying to instill. Because the truth is, you've been able to convince me. I'm sorry, I feel biased at this point, but you've been able to convince me, because I think before now, it wasn't clear. Now that you made it clear that it is boxing as a sport that we need to end. Learning it as just to entertain yourself or stay fit, exercise yourself, it's okay.
For self-defense purposes,
it's okay. But having it as a sport is what we want to abolish. You've already won.
Can you imagine if it was, say, 15, 17 years back, she wasn't married, I'm not married, and we decided to enjoy a walk down marina, and one assailant comes and says, hey, I want your girl. And I say, how dare you? That's the purpose.
Okay.
Self-defense. To defend a lady this pretty. I'm not to go and pummel my brother or for him to pummel me. I mean, no.
Just go and get paid.
That's not acceptable. Do some other thing.
You already want me. So do some other thing. I'll speak for myself. And I'm sure viewers at home see the elements that you've been trying to push. Thank you so much, Barrister.
Tosin Akande,
for having me. Being a play. Today's Christmas Day.
Yes.
We're having a very impactful conversation. What a gift to give people.
Yes, Christmas we preach peace. We preach love. We preach anything good. So for someone to come on the show and tell you and says that end violence, like intentional harm, stop it. I think that's peace message already.
That's message pushing the humanity. Humanity that we talk about.
Humanity. Because the reason for the Christmas is because someone was born to save, not to destroy. And so he is pushing that, don't destroy. Let's build. You understand? Do something that builds humanity, that helps humanity to grow. That's what he's saying. So, and I'm glad it's happening today, because if we had actually done it tomorrow, say boxing, people would be like, "Oh, that's what kind of boxing we're talking about. We're talking about the real fight." So it's
I mean, tomorrow is Boxing Day, right? We've decided to give people boxes from today. We'll give them a gift. This horizon is a gift to you.
Yes, so
at least know how you relate with your fellow man going forward. What a way to...
Tomorrow will just be okay. Let's dance to. Let's be excited about the boxing.
Let's open the box and we sent across.
So then I'll open it tomorrow. Anybody who missed out on this episode of the show, go and unbox it tomorrow.
Because tomorrow is gonna be.
You're gonna love it. Today's conversation with Barrister Tosin Akande demonstrates that combat sports are more than just entertainment. They have tangible, moral, legal, and societal implications. Yes. His work with Fable shows that challenging entrenched violent practices requires courage, advocacy, and a strategic vision for peace. We expect viewers, especially policymakers, parents, educators, youth leaders, and sports authorities to reflect on the societal costs of violence such as these, support legal reforms, promote non-violent alternatives, and embrace a culture that values human dignity, safety, and peace. Thank you all so much for being part of today's episode of Just Africa. We will continue to push out our ideas of people who are making changes or are trying to make changes on the continent. Till we come again tomorrow, please stay safe, love one another, and of course, share the essence of the season. I remain Emmanuel Amelo. And of course, do well to follow us on our social media platforms at SOUQ News TV and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Just Africa Show. Bye for now.